Hello everybody, welcome to the PixelPlay podcast. My name is Adam, aka CSRadical, here with you guys flying solo. Kaylan not here this week, so we are going to be tackling this all on my own. I say we, it's just me. Which means this show is pure and unadulterated, only talking about what the best girl or the best guy is in every game. Nothing else is happening this week. Okay, I guess there's some news stories as well. We could get into that. We're going to talk about things like, obviously, FromSoftware recently has some new shares of its stock being sold off. We have a few stories from Xbox, including the new Game Pass for friends and family, as well as a little bit of turmoil going on with when or not to show Fable. We're going to talk about that. And then, this weird story about how, the future of QA testing might be more AI related. We'll talk about that as well. And then instead of our usual trophy stumpers, I have something else I will be stumping myself with at the end of this show. But for the time being, let's just get right into things. So again, like I said, we're flying solo. It's always interesting doing one of these shows on my own. Now that I have Cartridge and Quarters with Chris, I'm used to now having two shows where I have somebody to bounce off of. I used to do podcasts solo all the time. I've done it once on this show already, but it's been a while. So there's a bit of rust that's involved with these sort of things. You kind of get used to having somebody else to go off of, because if you run out of something to say, at least they can potentially throw another thing in there and you have something else to go with. So it's always interesting doing this. It's kind of, at the same time though, it's always a fun challenge, and I get to do that here this week, trying to talk about, in some ways, some stories that aren't really that big and not too over the top. It's not like we're getting some crazy scandalous story or some, really awesome announcement. Nothing too over the top that makes you go like, oh my god, I can spend an hour talking about this thing. But hey, we got a bunch of small things, got something fun to do at the end. I'm excited to do this. I've been in a weird situation for a good while now in terms of not really knowing what I want to do in terms of playing. I've got a review that I'll do. I'll save it for next week when Kaylan's back. I actually am going to have a review in the next Cartridge and Quarters. I have a retro review I'll actually be able to do. So look forward to that as well. But for the most part, and we talked about this, Chris and I, on Cartridge and Quarters, was it last week or the week before? I think it was 2 weeks ago, but you'll know pretty quickly because the episode is called Burnout. No, not that Burnout. And yes, that's even in the title. We talked about how sometimes it's really hard to get a foothold on games. You sometimes end up playing like a game for an hour and you just lose interest. You play another game for an hour, you lose interest, and you stare at your library and nothing looks good. And that's been something I've been struggling with for a while. And I'm sure a lot of you listening to this, you may even be in this current situation right now. And it's not even necessarily the game's fault. There can always be mitigating factors outside of gaming altogether that just kind of lead to that stuff. It's definitely been difficult for quite some time. And also it doesn't help that 2022, especially here in like the summer, there has been almost nothing. In terms of like major releases, not a whole lot. PlayStation Extra has saved me with having, obviously Returnal. I still got to get around to Death Stranding and Demon's Souls, but I have a feeling both of those games are going to be ones that I don't spend too much time with. Because Death Stranding seems like it's going to be either I'm going to love it or hate it. So that might be over and done real quick. And Demon's Souls I may just stop playing because I don't want to be angry the entire time I play a game. So, there's that. But at least I've been able to find the odd game here and there that keeps my attention. The fact that I was able to finish a retro game, I'll even spoil it for the next episode of Cartridge and Quarters. I finished Super Mario RPG yesterday as I'm recording this. And it's weird because I played Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 10 back again. I've played Final Fantasy 9 back again. And I even tried playing Chrono Trigger, which I thought was foolproof at that point. All four of those games I maybe played at most a couple hours of, and then that was it. I couldn't stick with it. Super Mario RPG, for whatever reason, not that problem, which is interesting because I wouldn't have rated Super Mario RPG as one of my top games of all time growing up. So for that one to stick was interesting. But hey, it's always a fun thing to deal with, and I say fun in the biggest of quotation fingers possible, that, when you have that section of not knowing what you want to play, not really wanting to play anything. So a lot of days you kind of just spend sitting at your desk or sitting on the couch staring at your library going, I could play this or that or maybe something else, but it never feels amazing. There's not like that big thing. Now, As of today, the new PlayStation Plus games are out. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, an Arc Systems Works 2D fighting game. I've been wanting to play that for a while, so I'm very excited. Hopefully that can take some of the time away. And then I believe it's the 20th that the new set of PS Extra games come out. And why am I blanking on the game? Deathloop is in there. Deathloop, I'm still nervous. I know Kaylan thinks it was his favorite game that year. There's still a worry on my side that I might end up still not liking it very much and maybe drop it relatively quickly. But who knows? We'll see how that goes. And then I just saw the new things for Xbox Game Pass this month. I believe Metal Hellsinger was on there. And that I'm curious just enough about because it's almost like Doom, but to the beat of like a Crypt of the Necrodancer style game. So there's at least some interest again. But man, the last couple of weeks, nothing. Just nothing. But you know what's not nothing? All the stories that we got to talk about here. So let's get some of these quicker ones out. So obviously, like I said at the top of the show, FromSoftware is now been acquired. I believe it's a total of 30.34% of its shares. Tencent and Sony Interactive Entertainment getting their own set. Tencent having 16.25% of shares. Sony Interactive Entertainment with 14.09%. Katakawa Corporation is still the largest holder. They still own 69.66%. Very disappointing that it's not 69.69%. That would have been super nice. But that aside, they have still full control over this. In the end, I could talk more about this. I don't know enough about the inner workings of all these deals, so I'm not even going to try. So more or less, I just want to talk about what that potentially can mean. The biggest thing, obviously, I still have my issues with Tencent owning all of these different things. I think I even saw a story recently that Tencent now owns almost 50% of Ubisoft now. I think that's what the story was. I don't like the fact that there's a company that's getting pieces of everything. I don't ever like that. I'm not in for massive mergers. I've said that many times on the show when we talked about all the different acquisitions that both Sony and Microsoft have been making. I'm not a big fan of that stuff, and I don't like it when other companies do this, and that includes Sony owning a little bit of FromSoftware. But I have, not billions of dollars to my name, so I can't really make that change. So I can only react to what happens in the business world. As it stands, I personally don't have any stock in this because I'm not a big fan of Soulsborne games, so FromSoftware's catalog is not a big deal to me. But obviously, with how amazingly well Elden Ring is sold, there's a lot of people that are very interested in what this means. I honestly don't know if this necessarily means anything, considering Katakawa still owns the majority of the company. Sure, Tencent and Sony Interactive are going to have a voice there because they do have a significant amount of stock holdings there. I think the most that you can maybe see is that if you're going to ever see these kinds of games from Software on a subscription service, it's going to be on PlayStation Extra. I think really what this means to this point is that Game Pass may not ever see an Elden Ring, a Dark Souls on their service. I don't know if any of them are on the service now, but in the future, I would imagine that's a big part of it because now Sony can literally just say, "Hey, no, we own part of this. No." Sure, Katakawa could still say, "Yeah, but we got a lot of money, so no." Microsoft giving us, billions of dollars or whatever, however, how much. They can still kind of override it, but I think that that's kind of the direction it would take. And it wouldn't be that out of the ordinary anyway, because Demon's Souls Remake was already a PlayStation-only game, and that doesn't make it that much different. Obviously, Elden Ring went everywhere. I think you would still be silly to not put these games on as many platforms as possible. We've had this conversation before. I don't ever like the idea of exclusivity, especially if they're games that are not like you're closest to your chest. Like there are certain Sony games, there are certain Nintendo games, there are certain Xbox games that I don't care that it's coming from a Microsoft studio, a Sony studio. There are also games that you can throw on other consoles because it's very widespread. A lot of people would play them. I think overall, I don't even like the business model of exclusive games to begin with. But, I think you can make a case for certain games that, well, because it is going to be what you consider your system seller, fine, whatever. But there are certain games out there that there's no reason that it needs to be on its own console. Like, let's be completely honest. Here's a great example. Does Forza and Gran Turismo need to be exclusive? They're just racing games. PC owners would love that. Other companies would like that. I think a lot of people too would also have really liked Forza Horizon on their console on PlayStation 5 because Gran Turismo did a lot of decisions that people didn't like. And what other options do you really have right now? I mean, there's probably something. I think there's the Grid series, but like there isn't that overwhelming. Like there's the other top. Like Call of Duty may be gone potentially from Sony consoles somewhere down the road, but Battlefield still exists as not great. Battlefield is in some ways too, but there's also a plethora of first-person shooters. It's not like you're completely out of the market, so it's not terrible. I think in a lot of racing games, especially from that kind of racing, there's a difference between like the more arcadey stuff and what Forza and Gran Turismo do, which is a much more realistic sort of racing game. I think there are still options, but I think those are games that honestly just put it to as many people as you can. Honestly, I think you should do that for any game, but if some companies want to keep some close to their chest, fine, whatever, I'll deal with it. In the case here with FromSoftware, I don't think we're going to see anything major. I don't think like the next Elden Ring that they release, whether it's another Dark Souls, whether it's another Bloodborne, whether it's Elden Ring 2, or whether it's a completely different new IP in its entirety, I think based on the sales that they did with Elden Ring, there's no way that they would ever make that exclusive anywhere. Because there's so much money you'd be leaving off the table. Somebody would have to make an overwhelming offer and throw so much money at you for exclusivity that you wouldn't ignore it. But like, when you think about the amount of people that are playing it on PC, that are playing it on Xbox, that are playing it on PlayStation, it would just be silly not to do that. So I wouldn't look too deep into the story thinking that, all of a sudden, like, FromSoftware games are only going to be exclusive to PlayStation. I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think this is more just companies owning a little stake in something, just to make a little bit extra profit on somewhere, or at least to maybe get some sort of contract in. Like I said, maybe PlayStation Extra starts getting FromSoftware games. Who knows? Something like that. I wouldn't worry too much, though. What I would worry is how Xbox really wants Fable to get shown now, and the developers really don't want to. So, the head of Microsoft Studios, Matt Booty, which is a name. My God, that's a name. He already wants to show off Fable on the Xbox Series X, but developer Playground Games has refused to do so until it's properly ready. This article I'm just reading a little bit off of IGN via Ryan Dinsdale. So speaking at PAX West 2022, Booty said that Playground is doing so many cool things with the next generation Fable game that he asks them to share it every time he sees it. Part of my job is giving air cover to the team, he explained. They don't want to show stuff early before it's ready to go, but if there's one game where that's kind of flipped around, where every time I see something I say, we should show this, it's Fable, because there's a lot of cool stuff. That being said, the team has made it very clear that I am not going to be able to show anything until it's ready. And, I understand both sides. I think there is excitement from both ends. For all we know, maybe Fable is actually going under a very good development cycle as it stands. Maybe it is. I've heard the opposite with different articles. Also, the fact that it's been announced such a long time ago, and it still isn't even seen like any sort of gameplay trailers yet, that it makes you wonder, are things going bad? I mean, this could also just be Matt Booty just pumping the tires out of a game that actually isn't even remotely going to be good and not ready yet, and they're just trying to get some sort of hype out there. There's so many possibilities to it, but I understand both sides. If the truth is actually right in between, if what he sees looks amazing and he wants people to know about it, yeah, I can understand from a business standpoint you wanting to show it off. You want to build that hype train. But at the same time, the developers probably know that if you show this off sooner than later, people are going to expect it coming out within the next 12 months, because Xbox's last showcase was just within the last 12 months of what's coming out. So, I mean, I think maybe some things got delayed. That's not the point. But realistically speaking, they probably know how much time they still need, and they're not sure that it's a good idea to show things off, because then people will think it's almost done, and you don't want to do that yet. And that also makes perfect sense. Now, it's also a big deal that this game has to be good. Like, this game needs to be big, because Xbox really needs something in terms of its exclusive games that really set itself apart. Hellblade 2 might also be that. Halo Infinite, at least in my opinion, did not do anything to really push anything over the edge. You look at a game like Horizon Forbidden West, and soon, in all likelihood, God of War Ragnarok, you're going to see again PlayStation showing why they are the kings of the best games on any console. I think that's still where it's at. Fable is the kind of game that, honestly, if it's done perfectly, would be very well in the running of Game of the Year because Fable has always been. I've played 1, 2, and 3. They are all games that could have been Game of the Year every single time, but they always fell short. They always did something that completely killed its momentum. Because it was always, as everybody remembers with Peter Molyneux, it was always overpromised and underdelivered. They weren't never bad games. Like, they were never, your 5 or 6 out of 10s. I know some people didn't think the first one was very good. Some people really just don't like the series in general. I honestly think they're all solid 7 to 8s, depending on, how you feel about them. I think they're all really solid, and they've always done the same thing for me. They've always shown promise, and they've always shown what could have been. And with the fact that there's been such a break, I'm going to quickly look up how long it's been since Fable 3, because that's the last one that I did. I know there was that Fable Legends thing or whatever, but I did not care. This is 2010, so we'll be almost 12 years in the end of October. So we're almost there for 12 years since the last Fable. That's a series that everybody thought was going to be the next big thing. Did sell very well, but didn't quite hit the potential that it was supposed to. And with it coming back, there is that extra bit of people wanting this to be the best. I saw the first trailer and went, look, there's no gameplay, so I don't really have much to go off of. But my God, if they could get this right here with, now 60 frames per second, really high fidelity, really being able to get that open world, because Fable was all about the open world and being able to explore the kingdom and seeing all these different areas where you can fight all these crazy monsters. And then all the other things you could do on the side, like the social aspect of things. There's so much with this series that could be done if they stick to the old formula, but just make it better, that could make this game undeniably incredible. And we still sit at this point where it's hard to say if that's ever going to happen. And it's really a shame because, as I said, I actually like all 3 of the Fable games on Xbox and Xbox 360, but they weren't what I thought they were going to be. They weren't as good as we thought they were going to be every single time. In the way that, when Halo came out, you expected it to be the best, and it was. Now, I don't like every Halo game, but everybody was hyped up for it, and it killed. When every Grand Theft Auto game was being announced back in the day when Grand Theft Auto games actually came out new instead of just being a report of a report, they also came out and they did exactly what you expect them to. Call of Duty games for a while, same thing. Fable, just every time you would go in thinking this was going to be Game of the Year, and you left the game being like, it was good, but no, they could have done so much more. And I hope that with this, they do that. And it sounds like, at least if we're to believe that everything's going really, really well, the executive side is really excited. And the developers are going, hey, we want this to be just as good as you think it is. Give us time. I think that's responsible. And the fact that they aren't forcing the trailers out is also a good sign. I think Microsoft needs to do that anyway because they know that they need some games to kind of get themselves back in the running. So they're going to take their time. They want this to be as good as it needs to be. There is a little hesitancy that I still can't help but think when an executive says, this is good, we should show it off, and the developers being like, no, we can't until it's ready. I always think that there's that off chance the executive is just trying to get a hype train built for something that's not going to be that great when it's completed. There's so many little thoughts that go around because we've been burned so many times. You think about the amount of E3 trailers that you've seen and thought they were going to be the best game you played all year, and you got the game at launch and it sucked. It happened so many times over the course of your life, especially for me because it's in that early age when pre-ordering was a pretty normal thing. It's getting less and less and less over the years. It's still a big thing, but it's not what it used to be. You got burned a lot, and I learned my lesson. And whenever things like this happen, when trailers come out and then you hear nothing for a while, that worries me. When I see stories about, a guy like the executives in this case wanting to show it off and the developers being like, no, not till it's ready. There's a bit of hesitancy and there's a bit of like, okay, that's good. But there's always that little part in the back of your mind that's going, well, what if this game sucks? What if it sucks? You don't want to end up buying a game and end up finding out that it wasn't terrible. Obviously, when Fable comes out, unless it's on Game Pass, in which case I'll get it day one and try it because I want to. I've missed Fable a lot. I want a really good Fable game. But if it's not, if it's a launch title and you got to pay for it, no, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for reviews because I know better now. Because all 3 games, while good, definitely underdelivered, and I could have waited for them to drop in price a little bit. But for now, that is a however long it is down the road problem. I don't have to worry about that too much right now. Moving on, we're still going to be talking about Xbox the rest of the way here. So Xbox Game Pass Friends and Family Plan has been now confirmed, which sounds amazing. Not going to lie. So basically, the Friends and Family Plan, you will get all the usual benefits of Game Pass Ultimate. That includes cloud streaming and the rotating selection of games. The price detail is not revealed in the US because they're testing this. I believe it's Ireland and Colombia, I think the two were. And it's costing 21.99 euros, and I have no idea what the Colombian currency is called. It's spelled as COP, but it's 49,900. Roughly, the estimates are around, it would be around 24.99 US, which would be somewhere around like, what, maybe 30 bucks Canadian almost? Which honestly, if it's for you and 4 other people, that's a good deal. Like, honestly, we have groups of friends that you could easily share among the 5 of you for 30 bucks, which is what, 6 per? That's a pretty easy sell for me. And you're still getting all the same things. I like this a lot. I don't know if Sony would match that or even come close to matching that. Maybe they do one where you can share with like maybe one other person? Maybe? I can't imagine 4 others. But at least again, Xbox is showing that they may not have the best games, but they damn sure are going to have the best value. When you really sit down and think, 25 bucks between 5 people, and this is American, add maybe $1 or so for Canadians. 5 bucks for what Game Pass Ultimate is? The amount of games on that service, 5 bucks a month. And you're telling me I have access to all of that. That's a deal. That is a massive deal. Even if you share between 2 people, that's not bad. That's a little less than what you'd be paying if you're on your own. As soon as you share it with 3 people, it's a steal. Because now if you share 25 bucks with 3 people, you're looking at what? Somewhere around like $8-9 bucks. That's pretty good. If it was just 2 of you, you're paying like what? Maybe a couple bucks less than you would. That's still not bad. But as soon as you're almost like having your costs, that's pretty sick. And given what Game Pass has on a consistent basis and what it rotates through, and especially assuming they put everything they have on Game Pass at launch, once things pick up again, that value is going to get higher and higher and higher. Assuming the games are anywhere as good as you think they're going to be, as anywhere as I hope they end up being, as good as Microsoft hopes they're going to be, that value is insane. And it's going to bring back that conversation again of, well, where's the money going to go from now on? As a consumer, I don't care. It's not my problem. That's the business's problem. If Microsoft wants to do this, I'm good. I'm good with it. Costs me less money, I'm in. If you're going to give me that much value for that little, I'm in. If Sony doesn't want to do that, that's fine. Because if I'm only paying $5 for this Game Pass sharing that I'm doing with my friends, $5 or $6, I can pay full price for extra and not even give a crap. I'm paying for both right now. I got Ultimate and I got Extra. I'm doing fine. It's not that much money, especially when you're not doing all the other pitfalls potentially. I don't have any real other vices that are kicking my ass, so it's pretty easy to afford both for me. And they're both giving me significant value, honestly. I'm getting to try games that I normally wouldn't, figuring out that now I don't need to spend my money on them because they're not that great, or I end up liking games that I never would have tried. I cannot express just how much I love the fact that I could play The Artful Escape, whether it was on either service, because I think they're on both right now. The fact that I could play a game that I had no interest in buying, but now had the opportunity to do so, and it's one of my favorite games in the last little while. That's awesome. One of my games of the year a couple of years ago was Crosscode. Played that on Game Pass. You know, I'm about to go play Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, which is free with PlayStation. What's the current one? The Essential, I think it's called, for the default. But now Deathloop is going to be on Extra in another 2 or so weeks. If I end up loving that game, that cost me almost nothing. Like, these services are fantastic. I know some people are a little bit worried about the way that it might go in the future. But as a consumer, in terms of just the value, I can't be bothered to care. And when Xbox is doing something like this, where they're now throwing the thing that I already have, but potentially split between 2, 3, 4, even 5 people. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in for that. I'm super in for that. So I think it's a great deal. And considering that they keep adding just incredible stuff to it, whether it's indie or whether it's their own stuff, like if this is the future, I'm in. I'm super into this future. Does it stay this way? Probably not. I think at some point we'll see the prices go up. I don't know if you can get rid of the family thing now that they've instituted it, or once they've instituted it. But the price will probably go up. Maybe it'll be $30 US at some point. Maybe it'll go up to 35. Maybe at some point it'll even be 40. Who knows? But that's not going to happen for a while. It's going to be a very gradual process, like it always is when it comes to things being inflated. They don't do it by a big amount right away. Sometimes they try and it doesn't go very well. They'll do it like maybe they'll throw it up $1, or maybe they'll throw it up $2. And you'll be like, but whatever, it's not that much extra. Especially if you're splitting it between 5 people. It's what, like a quarter, 50 cents? Who cares? That's a gumball. That's 2 gumballs. We'll be fine. Down the road, though, maybe it adds up after a while. Maybe at some point it goes back to the point that you're paying almost the same thing that you were paying when you were doing it solo. Oh well. That's just how it might be. And it's your choice if you want to do it or not. As it stands right now, could not care less what the future is, because I see a deal, I'm in. And we'll see as soon as that gets, assuming it does get greenlit here in North America, we'll see. But I'll definitely be checking that out, because I already know I have at least a group of like 3 or 4 friends that would be super interested in doing that. Wouldn't be hard to get them behind that. So pretty excited towards that. The last article we have before we go on to our game at the end of this show. So this is a story that I found in VGC, Video Games Chronicle. This is from Chris Scullion. Xbox's Matt Booty. We get another bit from Matt Booty here. Dreams of having AI as QA testers. Now, this alone is an interesting thing. Now, I want to stress to people, this isn't them saying that we're getting rid of jobs completely for humans. So, a lot of what this is, and it's not like everybody's just probably assuming that, oh, it's just going to be this automated system that's going to go through games and just like find bugs and report it immediately. Honestly, what I think this would be, and based on what he said, so here's an article that he pumped in here. So my dream, this is from Matt Booty. My dream, there's a lot going on with AI and machine learning right now, and people using AI to generate all of these images. What I always say when I bump into AI folks is help me figure out how to use an AI bot to go test a game, because I would love to be able to start up 10,000 instances of a game in the cloud, so there's 10,000 copies of the game running, deploy an AI bot to spend all night testing that game, and then in the morning we get a report, because that would be transformational. What I think that this is referring to is not cutting a job completely. There may be people that don't have a job anymore because they're not playing the game over and over again. What I think this is supposed to be is the AI doing the hardest part of the job, which is doing all the things that you as a gamer would not do. Generally speaking, a lot of the bugs that they end up fixing are things that usually wouldn't do intentionally. It's accidental stuff. So they're going around playing the same thing over and over again in slightly different ways, and they might find that this one little speck in the map, in this massive area that you likely won't touch, you fall through. That level kind of stuff. To be able to find a little more of those things that normally don't get caught, because they're things that the human tester is not going to do. I think what this does down the road, assuming if they ever can figure out how, is that you have these AI instances running games and just randomly moving all over the place. Like maybe they put them in different levels and they just walk around and just keep trying to go all over the place, just in random directions, see if they can break something. It's not always going to be finding like glitches that, say like speedrunners use. I think this is more like finding the broken stuff, the things that we all make fun of when a really broken game comes out. When we're talking about like the easy to fall through the map things, when we're talking about, how, certain things glitch out and they start like flying all around, like them being able, like the AI being able to flag that, hey, we fell through this speck in the map, or hey, this thing happened where the enemy that's normally supposed to be right here is now 10,000 kilometers high in the sky. Because, if you've played Skyrim, you've seen that happen. I don't necessarily think this is cutting out an entire industry in terms of human workers. I think this is making this better for the ones who are working it. I do believe that people will get cut. There will be jobs lost. I cannot deny that. But what I think it'll do in the end is make games less buggy because they're going to catch the things that you normally wouldn't. The things that you would have to play the game 10,000 times to find by just going in really random spots. The AI is going to do things you never would. You look at, say, like when speedrunners use the task bot and the ways that this bot breaks the game. Like, watch the Games Done Quick run of Mario Kart Wii. Serious, or it was Mario Kart Wii, I'm pretty sure. Not 8, I'm pretty sure it was Wii. Either way, you'll find it. And it's the task bot version of it. And you see the spots that are so frame perfect and impossible for a human to do. But those are things that AI might be able to catch. And I think that's good in the end, because there are so many times you'll play games and the most random weird glitches happen. Also, having an AI that just keeps telling any instance that a game crashes, and they can start to see, like, here's 2,000 instances of this massive report that we've done that in this specific area there seem to be a lot of crashes, and they can look at that specific area and see what's coded off. Like, something must be interacting with something that shouldn't be, or something might be just, maybe you put a wrong letter somewhere and things just aren't jiving the way they're supposed to. That kind of stuff can mean so much in the long run. I know that there's hesitancy in the end because AI automation does mean a lot of things that are humans losing the jobs, that, it might also mean that developers might get lazier, because it also might mean the opposite. It might mean even less gets caught. There's always that possibility too. But I think if it's done properly, the way that, I think most of us would assume that it should be done, this could mean much better results for games at launch at the very least, because bugs are going to get caught sooner. Now, that might still mean games get rushed out the door. That's never going to change. But if they get rushed out the door, there might be a chance that at least for a good chunk of the beginning of the game, you're not seeing things absolutely broken. And maybe even the entire game you don't. It might mean that experience is much better at the beginning, that you can forgive a bug here or there later on because you're invested now. When you play a game and it's buggy as shit in the first 30 minutes, do you really care much about this game now? Do you really care that much? Did a lot of people really think Cyberpunk was that good a game after the first hour? Did they? Especially at launch? Did they? A lot of people gave up on that game real quick, and a lot of people got refunds, myself included, when that happened. If an AI can make it so that the game is really up to just whether it's a bad game or not, unless that it's a buggy pile of garbage, I'm in for that too. I want to see things get better. I really do. I mean, that's such a weird thing to say. Like, yeah, I want things to get better. Shocking. I know, hot take here. But, like, I almost can't see a scenario where this isn't good for the industry, if they could figure out how. To find the amount of bugs that get missed, that would be a big game changer, because so many games would be so much more, what's the word I'm looking, like, tolerable, if there was just a few less bugs in there all the time. You play especially with open world games, my god, you can get taken out of an open world playthrough so easily with the way that bugs can just derail it so many different times. If even just that can be avoided, that's a big change. That's a big deal. And I'm okay to see where that goes. This may not be for a long time. This may not be in this decade. May not even be in the next. Hard to say. AI automation is getting better every year. This may not be the industry where it's as easy to do. Don't know. I don't have the tech knowledge to confirm or deny how easy or hard that would be. I don't. But it sounds like a really damn good idea, and I'm here for that. So, we are near the end of our show. And normally, I know it's only like 35 minutes, but this is what happens when you don't have a second person here. It's a little harder to make time go. There could have been another couple of stories. You know what? Just because I looked earlier today before I recorded, let's see if just anything interesting has come out. I see Cyberpunk has DLC. I still don't care because I have to play the PC version where I can find better fixes. And in all honesty, I just don't like playing Cyberpunk on a controller. I think a mouse and keyboard would be better for me. So I'm waiting for Cyberpunk to go down in price on Steam or anywhere I can possibly get a hold of it for cheaper and maybe try it again. And who knows, I've seen people that are really excited because I've seen a little bit about Phantom Liberty over the course of time, but I think it's something that I don't have nearly as much interest as I did before. So, nah, not really. Otherwise, yeah, there's not really much. I mean, there's a funny story about how 3 million people have played Power Wash Simulator since release. I mean, that's not actually that surprising. You know how satisfying it is watching a power washer clean? It's honestly a lot more satisfying than you think. But anyways, I digress. I mentioned a game earlier. Obviously, it's kind of hard to do trophy stumpers when I can select the trophies myself. Kaylan didn't leave me a list with an answer, so I'm going to do something a little bit different here. So let me change screens for those here on the video version and show this trusty little quiz here. And I'm going to try to be as vocal as I can for you guys on the audio so you don't completely lose it here. So I have a quiz here where it is the 50 best selling video games of all time. And I got 10 minutes here. The first one is obvious. It's 82.87 million copies sold, and it's on the Wii. You know that's Wii Sports because, well, it was basically sold with the console, so it counts that way. The rest of it, we'll just swing through a bunch of stuff. We'll see how much we can do. We'll try to do it in order for a little bit until we basically have to give up. I mean, I'll probably make a guess that isn't on that specific part of the list, but somewhere else. We'll see. But we have 10 minutes. I will try really hard on the audio version here for you guys to make this, somewhat interesting. If you want to leave at this point, no sweat. I'll see you guys next week when Kaylan returns. Or actually, you could also check out Saturday's episode of Cartridge and Quarters. And you can do that too. And we can talk more there. But for now, this is going to be my replacement for Trophy Stumpers. So let's get this quiz started. So right off the bat, Wii Sports, we know that's going to be on there. That's done. NES, 40 million copies. Got to be Super Mario Brothers. Sure enough, it is. Wii, 37.2 copies. What could that possibly be? I don't know if it would be Wii Sports Resort. I'll try that first. It is not that specific spot, but it is there. What about Wii Play? That is on there. Let's see. What about Super Mario Galaxy? Could that be on there? What about Galaxy 2? No, it's not that. What could be 37.2 on Wii if it's not any of the Wii Sports or Wii Play games? Now we'll worry about that later. PC, 36 million copies. I don't know. Doom, probably not that. Elden Ring, has it already eclipsed it yet? No, it hasn't. I know it's not 37 million or 36 million. Huh, that's tough. Oh, Minecraft. Duh. Oh, that's not that one, though. Something sold more than Minecraft? Really? What could have sold more than Minecraft on PC? Ooh, that's tough. For now, I'll worry about it elsewhere. Tetris, that's on the list. It's not the Game Boy at the top, though. What could be Game Boy? Okay, well, we'll worry about that later. Let's start going through Zeldas, because you know that's going to sell. So let's do Link to the Past first. That didn't work. This is going to be the other problem. How is it going to dole itself out here? I see an SNES down the list, Super Mario World. That's on there. Let's just do all the Super Mario Brothers to see if any of them... Yeah, 3 landed. Super Mario... Is there a Switch on here? There is a Switch on here. So let's do Super Mario Odyssey. We'll do Breath of the Wild. If I type up Breath of the Wild, is that going to be enough for it? It doesn't like that. This is the only problem with some of these quiz things. Do they want the exact... Okay, that's going to annoy me. I'm going to ignore that for now. Let's see. Switch, 16.69. And that wasn't Odyssey? Huh. What else could be up there? Well, I'm sure Breath of the Wild's got to be on there. If I just type the whole thing out here, will that work for it? No? That's really weird. This is the thing that I don't like about these quizzes. If it's not even on the list, I'm going to be sitting there staring at 2 other Switch games. What have done that good? It can't be Fire Emblem 3 Houses. There's no way. No. Okay, we're spending way too much time thinking about other stuff. Okay, let's do more NES stuff here, because I see another couple NESs here. I'm really surprised that The Legend of Zelda wasn't there. That's generally weird to me. That's honestly very, very weird to me. Let's see. Does Duck Hunt get included? Yeah, okay, Duck Hunt's in there. Let's just do Donkey Kong Country. Nope, didn't think it would be. All right, what else can I go in a different direction here? Xbox 360, let's go Halo. Halo 3 is up there. Are there other Halos? What about ODST? No. Halo Reach? No. Okay. Xbox 360. No, it wouldn't be the Fables. That wouldn't be quite right. Call of Duty's got to be in there somewhere. Modern Warfare. I'm going to be really annoyed if it's like being very technical on what it needs me to do here. Okay. Oh, wait. If it's PC and really high, what about World of Warcraft? No? Wow, okay. StarCraft. StarCraft 2? No. This is, honestly, I'm at 11 with about 6.5 minutes to go. I'm surprised this is all I have. Alright, Horizon Zero Dawn, if we're looking at PlayStation 4 titles. The Last of Us, no. Uncharted 4. There we go. That's something. PlayStation 2, Final Fantasy X, no. Actually, I don't think even that sold as much as I think it has. Wow, this is a lot harder than I was expecting this to be. And a lot of 360 games that I've missed. Go through Gears of War. 2, 3, no. Game Boy Advance as well. Like, I'm all over the place trying to figure out what games might have been. Huh. 12 out of 50. I'm honestly kind of freaked out that this is all I've got right now. And Call of Duty isn't exactly working the way that I thought it would either. This is very, very more difficult than I was expecting. Final Fantasy 14, maybe? No? Oh, boy. Okay, what else? So there's still Super Nintendo games that I haven't hit yet. No, it looks like I've gotten all those. DS games, I'm not even sure where to start on DS games. What's a DS game that sold 30 million copies? Good lord. There's a lot of DS games on this list. Nintendogs for... Wow, Nintendogs has sold almost 24 million? Jeez. Was there a Nintendo Cats? No. Big Brain Academy, maybe? No. I'm still trying to figure out what Wii game is third all time. If it wasn't Wii Sport, if it's not Wii Play or something like that, is there anything else that was like very common with the Wii that would have sold that much? I genuinely can't think of what that would be. I'm looking at, well, it doesn't help that I'm trying to look at my shelf here and I almost have no games on the shelf because all the other games are in another room. I'm still looking at Xbox too, and there's a lot of missing Xbox games. It's why I'm thinking Call of Duty, but it's not showing up anything. World at War wouldn't be that. Black Ops? Okay, Black Ops is there. There's no way Modern Warfare isn't. That's why I'm really thrown off. Modern Warfare 3 is, but why are 1 and 2 not showing up? That's honestly surprising. I'm gonna try Battlefield. I doubted that was gonna be. What other? I'm gonna try Black Ops 2 just for the sake of it. Black Ops 2 is on there. Okay, so that's helped that at least have nailed down a few Call of Duties. Is Black Ops 3? Wow, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 sold more than the others? I could have sworn Black Ops 3 started declining a little bit. Wait, if Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, is it going to be technical with me? No, it's not. Well, I've already tried Modern Warfare. Well, yeah, if the original wouldn't work, then neither. There's no way. I mean, I'm just going through any of the other ones. No, Ghost didn't sell that well. What about Advanced Warfare? I'm really just like throwing everything else that I can think of at it. I'm now realizing that Fortnite must be on this list. No? Okay. Also, I don't know when this quiz was made. Does it even say when the quiz was made? Retired on February of 2020 or 2022, so who knows? Maybe it's some of those numbers. There's a Sega Genesis, so Sonic the Hedgehog. Gotta be, right? Yeah. Is there any more Genesis games on there? No, there is not. Game Boy games, so Pokemon, Blue. Okay, so that worked there. So let's start just doing all the other Pokemons. Okay, that's helping a lot. So I've got red, green, and blue. I've got ruby and sapphire, black and white. How about X? Yeah, that worked. Pokemon. Oh, yellow was actually separate. I'm glad I tried that. What about gold? Gold is up there. Okay, we got 2 minutes left and we're at almost half. If I can at least get half, I won't feel so bad. I'm trying to. What were some of the other Pokemon ones? What about? Is it gonna be technical with Fire Red? No, it's not. Okay. So now that we actually have a second, Metroid Prime, doubt it. No. There's still some Wii games here. Like I might be really upset when I find out what the third and fourth all-time one. Wii at 37 and PC at 36. What? There's going to be a lot of them going to be like, really? I didn't think about that. PS2 games is throwing me off because I'm trying to think of what those would be. I guess I'll just type in God of War at this point. No, it's not those. PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. What's sold a bunch on those consoles? That's why I'm like nervous about other games that potentially could have like just sold a bunch that I'm just not thinking of. We got a minute left. I'm trying to find one more here. And I'm not thinking of them. And it's really throwing me off. I'm just going to start Final Fantasy naming here. No, it's not going to be any of those. I don't even think... Nope, those ones won't either. I think we're going to be stuck at 24 here. I think we're stopping at 24, and I'm kind of mad. I'm kind of mad. Cooking Mama. Nope. What else could be Game Boy that could have sold a bunch? What else could have been Game Boy? Super Mario Land? Okay, we're at 25. Is there any other Game Boys? Can I squeak something else in the last 15 seconds? No. Switch games, I swear to God. If Breath of the Wild is on here and I just typed it the way it didn't like it, I'm going to be mad. Animal Crossing. Nope. Okay, we're stuck at 25. All right. So it's about to end here. We'll see how many we missed. Okay, I'm kind of mad at some of these. I should have tried a little bit more on some other things. All right, so here's what we missed from the bottom up. Or from the top down. So I missed Mario Kart Wii, which I feel really stupid about, as well as Mario Kart 8 on Switch, which I also feel stupid about. The PC one that was 36.6 is PlayerUnknown's Battleground. The fact that it's that and not Fortnite is honestly shocking to me. Makes me wonder if there's another market that is North America that played PUBG a bunch. The Nintendo one that was 30.8, New Super Mario Brothers, New Super Mario Brothers Wii. Kinect Adventures I never even considered because I could have sworn that no one liked Kinect. I didn't think it sold that much. Wii Fit and Wii Fit Plus I didn't think about. That's mine. That's again mine. Mario Kart DS also. Mario Kart 7 I also didn't do. The one that I should have and can't believe I didn't was Grand Theft Auto 5. That's a big one. I was right on the right track with Big Game Academy, but it wasn't that one. It was Brain Age. Brain Age and Brain Age 2 were on there. Gary's Mod I never would have thought about, but 18.58 million for PC. Then the other side, so I missed Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and Pokemon Sun and Moon and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I'm okay with that. I haven't been too big into Pokemon for the longest time. The other ones, again, GTA 4. I could have put 3 things off the list if I'd done GTA 4, or 5, sorry. Should have done that. Vice City and San Andreas are also on the list. Counter-Strike Source, also wouldn't have considered that. Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, never would have considered. And then the last ones I missed, Red Dead 2 and Smash Brothers Ultimate on Switch. So some of them I understand, some of them I'm kind of annoyed that I didn't think about. GTA, the fact that I never considered Grand Theft Auto at any point is really funny to me. I feel sort of happy that apparently the average score is 26%, although at the same time I feel kind of sad that that's all I did. Well, is the quiz stats going to... No, I need to pay for that. Because I was usually, I think if you pay for it, it'll actually show you like what percentage of people got the ones that you got and which ones didn't. I would imagine Brain Age was the tough one. Gary's Mod, I think, would also be up there. But yeah, I'm mad and also relieved at the same time because some of them I'm like, yeah, I basically just would have had to go through the entire list of Mario games and Mario Kart games, and that would have been a bunch. I still missed 3 Pokemon games, even going through a bunch of the ones that I remembered. So, you know what? It could have been a lot worse, honestly. I thought we were going to be less than 20 for a while. That's how worried I was getting. But, you know, it is what it is. So, we're now at 50 minutes. I killed a little bit extra time with that game there. That's going to do it for this episode of the show, guys. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this little solo thing that I did here. This will not be permanent, obviously, because Kaylan has been trying to replace me more than I've been trying to replace Kaylan. That will not happen forever. But that is the end of the show. Thank you so much for checking this out, guys. I hope you guys had a blast with me here. Now, remember, if you are watching this on YouTube, and you, especially because you got to see the pretty face here, make sure you are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. We're still trying to get to 100 subs. That is a journey that we knew was going to be tough, and it continues to be tough, but any help that you guys can give us, if you haven't already, would be much appreciated. If you're listening to this on any audio platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, anywhere that you get your podcasts, if you can rate us, please give us that fancy 5-star rating. Even 4 stars. We'll take 4. You know what? We're not greedy. We'll take 4 any time of the day. But most importantly, whether you are listening to the audio version of the show or the video version of this podcast, please share with all your gamer friends that you think would be interested in this kind of stuff. Tell them about particularly with me, tell them about the dumb podcast that you listen to that, you know, they have some really stupid opinions, but they're kind of good guys. You want to take a listen to these dudes. Send them your way and tell them about Cartridge and Quarters, which we also do, which is our retro podcast. That will be recorded in a couple of days, but won't be released, obviously, till Saturday morning when it normally comes up. Otherwise, if you want to check any more information about us, you can check out our linktree/pixelplaypodcast. That is linktr.ee/pixelplaypodcast. Again, shows where all of our podcast locations are, YouTube and all the audio platforms. Also, link to our Discord, which you should be joining if you want to shoot the breeze with us. And then also link to our email if you want to email us questions for the show. Otherwise, that is everything this week. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week with Kaylan back in tow. And, you know, me getting reeled in a little bit. I did forget about the most important thing, though, before I leave you. We didn't do at least one best boy, best girl conversation. So let's do one. Final Fantasy VII, that is easy. Cloud and Address. Thank you so much for this episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next week. Bye-bye for now.